Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. So, a lot's gone down the last 24 hours. I think it's the madness of Christmas, people having time on their hands, whatever. But let's digest it. So, the big breaking news is Spence Crawford. Spence is clearly trying to price him out the fight. I think we all know at the moment, at this present time, that Crawford beat Spence. I don't think there's many people right now. A year ago, 2 years ago, I think people would have certainly leaned towards Spence. But now, I think a lot of people favour Crawford. I do as well. I think his boxing brain, his versatility, his punch power is better than Spence's. I think he's a better boxer than Spence. I've said that from word dot. Even more so now. You know, Spence beat up a pretty much washed up Garcia. It didn't really prove a lot to me, the fact, although it showed that, he's recovered well from his car crash, but it didn't tell me anything that I needed to know regarding Spence Crawford. I mean, Crawford would have, I think, stopped Garcia, for instance. So it was no big wow moment for me. Just the fact that, credit Spence, he's come back from his car crash and he's not punch drunk, which I think some people feared he would be, or would be able to take a punch anymore. That shows, I think, initially, if he'd have taken the fight 6 months ago with Garcia, that might have happened. But the fact that he's had over 13 months away from the ring has helped him, I think. And it was a good performance. But for me, asking 70-30 just shows you in a way that Spence doesn't really want Crawford. He doesn't, for me, believe he can beat Crawford right now. And that's ridiculous. It should be a 50-50 split. None of them are huge draws. Let's be honest, they're not Canelo level, they're not Joshua level. They both need to update and improve their profile. Obviously, there's massive problems with Crawford and his promoter Bob Arum. I've got a feeling Crawford is going to sign with Al Heyman, which will make the fight easier to make. Spence needs to update his profile as well. They just need to do more, don't they, on social media, on interviews. They need to kind of become more charismatic. Both of them are quite softly spoken, not particularly interesting or charismatic. As great a fighter as Crawford is, and as good as Spence is, that's something they need to work on. So they're not going to generate huge amounts of money, but the fact that the boxing fans know who they are. They know how good this is. They know it's unification. They know it's for the best welterweight on the planet. I expect it to do probably just under 1 million pay-per-view buys. Something like 800,000, I think, would be a good number for these two. So they're probably looking at, I don't know, an 8 million split, which is probably one of their biggest paydays. Obviously, if they fight Canelo, they double that to 16 million, but that's not going to happen because they're both too small for Canelo. So, they need to be sensible. They need to go 50-50 down the middle, and let's get this fight on. 70-30, you're pricing yourself out, and ultimately, you're telling the world that you don't want the fight. So, sort it out. Moving on, Lopez, Teofimo's dad, has said to Hearn 10 million for the Haney fight. Again, he's priced himself out, isn't he? That's not realistic. The money the draw at the moment, they're not going to generate that. They'll probably generate, probably 600, 700,000 pay-per-view buys. They're not huge names outside the world of boxing. There's not established stars. I'd like to see Lopez fight Lomachenko in a rematch. I think Lomachenko beats Lopez in a rematch. I think he'll start more aggressive. He'll figure him out quicker. But obviously Lopez is going to decline that, which is disappointing, and he's priced himself out the Haney fight. He's not worth 10 million. He's not going to get 10 million unless his own decide to stump up the mega money. But at this point, why would they? These two aren't big stars. They're acting like big stars, but they're not. Yes, they're rising stars, but they're not established stars. They're not Canelo. They're not Lomachenko. So that's ridiculous. So that fight's not going to happen anytime soon. For me, Lopez beats Haney up. I don't think Haney's got the power or the physical presence to hold Lopez off, and I think he just walks him down and beats him up, to be honest with you. He's very lightweight, Haney. He's not as special as the Mayweather camp and Hearn says he is. Don't get me wrong, he's got slick boxing skills, but that will only get you so far when you punch like a pillow. Lopez beats him up for me. There's a lot bigger man, tougher man. and just better all round. But that fight's not going to happen. Again, overpriced yourself. What these guys doing? So that's obviously the big kind of fighting points at the moment. Obviously, Lopez and Spence. But obviously there's some other big news. Obviously, Charlo, Jamal has called out Canelo. I think Charlo, out of everyone, has probably got the best chance of beating Canelo. He's a good boxer. He's a good puncher. He's got the confidence. He's got the swag. He's got good footwork. He's 31-0. He's the middleweight WBC champion. Let's face it, he's been avoided by Golovkin. I think he beats Golovkin now. He's got good timing, good hand speed. He's 6 foot. He's got good presence. Does he beat Canelo? I don't think so. I think Canelo susses him out. I think he'll go to the body and hurt him. I don't think Charlo's chin is as good as people say it is. I think that will get tested. He might even get stopped by Canelo late on. But let's be honest, he's going to push Canelo far tougher than Smith did. And I like Charlo's confidence. He's got a good boxing brain. But ultimately, I think Canelo still beats him, possibly late on stoppage. But definitely on point. But I don't think Charlo will eventually be able to hold off Canelo's barrage of punches. Although I think early on will be very interesting. I think he'll start very well and he'll match Canelo in lots of department. But I think Canelo is like a computer. He'll suss him out, and I think that chin will be tested, and I don't think it will hold up, to be honest with you. So Canelo late stoppage for me against Charlo. But what a fight, a great fight, and let's get that on. That's the fight we want to see, either him or Billy Joe. I don't want to see a trilogy fight. I think a Triple G is the wrong side of his prime now. I think he loses quite comfortably, and it'll be sad to see. Billy Joe or Jamal Cello for Canelo next, and they are two great fights, two close fights, but I think Canelo wins both. Alright guys, I'm out now. That's the latest and the greatest news in the boxing world. I'll be back soon. Have a great Christmas, and I'll catch you real soon. Bye.